Welcome to our lovely future humans, our 5D collective. To those who are new, we are a number of self regulating body and mind individuals. So we don't suffer the mind because we don't suffer the body. And as we were discussing, self leaders, they do know intensity, not our actual true thoughts or feelings, but definitely amazing to regulate the intensity of you. So when you're breaking free from reactivity, you are learning how strong emotions aren't facts, how effective realism is something that we all can have, and our child parts come with us. And so if you didn't tune into one of our episodes on where I was telling you about the mind, let me give you the gist of it and the brain, and then we're going to continue with our also spiritual awakening and ascension stuff. So personal growth is behavioral mastering because you're not changing yourself, you own yourself, you own your brain, it's integrated, you own your mind. So the mind is looking for patterns, it's a pattern predictor. The brain is getting ready, it's an anticipation machine. So the brain is using the past. You learn how to be grounded, and that's thanks to your ventral energy, so connected, and then to be in that which is the present and now, the prefrontal. And so as I sit with my own past, I can bring child parts, charges, know they're all there, not become my activated state, but move out of it. And that's why, as we were saying, my mui yesterday doesn't get fucked with. And so with stories, I told you about at least at some point, and my lovely boyfriend, teenage boyfriend, and 3 times cheating incident, 4th, that didn't admit to the 4th one. Okay, so the 3rd with the BFFF, I waited 7 days before going, because I wanted to calm myself so I wouldn't say anything that I didn't want to. Okay, so that's one story. Then we have my facade friend who I actively didn't talk to for a whole 5 years, but when shit hit the fan, I was already a mystic at that point, and I knew some stuff was going down, but also I did what anybody who's a friend would do and who knows what the right thing is to do. I helped my friend. He was all alone, no other friends. And that's because of emotionally immature people. They tend to actually call to them that which is Ice Age. Anybody know Diego's family from Ice Age? So when I spot people who are emotionally immature, here's where they are playing out a 0-8-year-old non-metabolized trauma time. Thank you, Pat Ogden, for that explanation. And it just is very fascinating. And I say it with the quotes that 3D, 4D continues to not notice their polarization. And so they're going to go to extremes. When you hear about this dark night of the soul thing, feeling lost, hopeless, confused, not for the 5D collective of those who are mystics and spiritual, because feeling lost, hopeless, or confused means you don't own the somatic stability, which means you don't own the mental stability, which means you don't own self-regulation skills or yourself yet. Okay, so that's why when you meet the spiritual bypassers and somatic bypassers, just remember that emotionally immature people don't own the mind yet. So they suffer it. They also hang out with each other based on validating their charges and their subjective opinions. And so I have a subjective opinion and I have a subjective experience. I'm a teenager. My boyfriend cheats on me the 3rd time. It's with my BFFF. I find out because I'm presented with it again. I am cool with the forgiving thing because I said yes to Jesus, God, Holy Spirit, but also I know we're young. And so to me, immaturity happens. Today, thankfully, we have the polysecure community and the monosecure community. So between polyamory and monoamory, people who love aren't actually doing that. It's hard work to keep a relationship. It's very easy work, and that's because we're all emotionally mature and available, and our activated state, our very strong feelings are not who we are. We are self-leaders, and so with intensity regulated, we're not repeating any of charges or past. And we get to bring forth that which is the most amazing of journeys. So there's not a dark night of soul because your ego don't die and yourself don't die. You continue to spiritually grow and personally grow. You don't change because you are anchored in the ventral energy, and that means you're anchored in a safe haven, secure-based body, secure attachment. And yourself is solo but also relational. So you're cool with differences in a way that does not involve a Cain or Abel story. It involves a human story. Emotionally mature, awesome, fun. All of them epistemically curious, disciplined. They trust. They know how to work with the green. Neil deGrasse labels green sources. And then we got our yellow ones. I think I'm a yellow because I'm telling you I have some school and I continue to do school and work, the educational stuff. I also have my own experiences, and so that's why it's a yellow, while green are all the ones I learned from, the attachment trauma educators. Here's a quote from Sadhguru as we continue. If you respond consciously, what you want will happen. If you react compulsively, what someone else wants will happen. And that's not complete because it's not really what someone else wants, but sometimes what I've noticed between the emotionally immature collective is they trigger each other. And that's because they haven't learned how to welcome each other, differences, and really to talk about it with the emotions in the forefront, because they have yet to learn how to maintain emotional steadiness under activation, which is what leads to your human potential, the infinite higher human conscious potential kind, to be anchored in and to come forth. So if you're a spiritual mystic, here's why channeling and downloading and tapping into everything is very different for you than those whose nervous system is overwhelmed because they feel lost, hopeless, and confused. And all the stages that you will see of spiritual awakening online don't match any of that which a person who has been anchored in my ventral, self-aware, accountable, regulating responsibly with downloads, channels has done. I'm 46, okay? So the second stage, they talk about disillusionment, complacency with life is replaced by dissatisfaction with how things are. Then none of that actually takes place. Seeking deeper meaning and experiencing breakthroughs. There's always deeper meaning, but that's because life's purpose and meaning is not confusing when you wield your nervous system. So Maria has 24 hours. I like to share it with my loved ones and to try and make a difference. PayHip has bundles for those of you who do self-directed reflective practices. That's part of what I offer to support people in our conversations. You can also check out Substack. And then those who do mentorship, I've talked about that before. So you are going to be emotionally aware, mature, and regulate yourself and not bring your past into the present or the future in a way of it being charged, but you're going to mature and grow from it, which is why the mind is amazing to have. So again, you don't feel weighed down by thoughts because you don't feel weighed down by emotions. And when you're reactive and or activated, you are choosing to anchor in ventral because it's your capacity and move to curiosity. And you mature that very deep emotional state. And so your temperament you work with, your personality patterns you work with. And personality patterns, I have one definition here, a collection of values of how emotions, thought, and behavior happen across states and stages of life. And so that's a very fun thing to do. So once you own your brain, it's integrated, and you're noticing with your brain and your mind, you remind yourself about the patterns you may note and how your brain is an anticipation machine. And the mind is a pattern detector, and you will notice how am I filtering the past, the present, and what am I bringing forth. And so we do not, in fact, endorse, let me see, where are my notes, but I was telling you guys about that one yesterday. We don't endorse our projection, we don't endorse the charges and the stories, so we allow ourselves to talk about that which our difference is very openly. This is the fun part about being emotionally mature. This is a fun part about being spiritual as well, is that when you bring it all in, nobody is confused because nobody is needing, the left is what wants A, B, C, D, E, F, G to be linear. The right works just great with noticing how A, B, C, D can jumble up and wheel themselves back to each other, and that's the concealment approach. And so for inner work, mindfulness, shadow work, inner child work, deep introspection, this inner work, the way they describe it, is why we have spiritual bypassers and somatic bypassers, because instead of going to therapy, they're doing everything else. And so I love that there's a man named Patrick Tiahan, childhood trauma. I say survivor, healed and healing. Well, he is a survivor. I just say he's healed and healing because I don't know how he describes that for himself. But he'll say it's not Boca Raton that will get you healed from your childhood trauma. It's you going to get reparented and then owning yourself, and he has a different way he comes at it. But I'm like, yeah. So there's a lot of people, they suffer their mind because they suffer their body. They suffer their life because they're not motivated yet. They're not motivated because they feel Dr. Amy Pigan, she explains it in neuroception. They're not going to feel very energized. They can become flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable. The faces of Dr. Daniel Siegel. So integration, and that's why you do what you do with mindset practices and journal prompts. And so at the end of the day, there's stage 5, unity, rebirth, connection with the deep divine, alignment with life, community, inspiration. That's every day of your life when you're a person who didn't lose yourself. And in my case, so with God, I've consistently felt his beautiful energy and love and the frequency of this consciousness sphere. And when I see people who seem to not be able to hold on to it, I'm like, wow, you can hold on to it. I hold on to it. I recalibrate. Every single bit of all the life experiences continue to help me feel very blessed and very fortunate. And that's my human potential. You can do it and I can do it. And the good mindful therapists are out there for those who need them, and then continue to work like we get to do. So thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe, share with others, and have a good one.